Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of Top 5, the show where I give you guys the top 5 in a particular progressive rock related topic. These are topics generated by my wife. She comes up with them and I just give a list off the top of my head. I try not to prepare too much, try not to do any copious note taking or anything like that, and just come off the top of my head with what comes to mind in the topic. So these shows are meant to be a little bit more lighthearted and fun and short and just fun ways to spend your Tuesday hanging out and talking about progressive rock. So I'd appreciate the commentary below if you have some contributions to this topic. If you have a list of your own, I'd always appreciate the participation. That's been a fun part of the show so far, is people's lists in the comments and some of that participation I've really appreciated. So thank you guys so much. And for those of you who may be new to the channel, subscribe. I'd really appreciate you continuing on board with the channel. We do lots of prog-related content, and it's a lot of fun to do. So thank you guys for your support. And let's jump into today's topic, which is prog artists with beards. Another really quirky, weird topic that my wife came up with. Maybe she's a little bit obsessed with the beard because she's basically the one who told me to grow a beard back when we got married. You know, before I was married, I never had a beard. I was always clean shaven, but we went on our honeymoon and I was taking a more relaxed stance on my shaving, and I was just kind of letting it grow a little bit, and my wife said, why don't you just continue letting it grow, and why don't you check out what a beard would be like? And since then I've always had a beard. I haven't gone clean shaven since, so I guess I embrace the beard and like it. You know, if my wife likes it, then that's good enough for me, a good enough reason to keep it. And I think it's sort of defined my look a little bit as I've developed here, and I think people are used to it now. I think it would throw a lot of my people I interact with and people probably watching this channel, throw them off a little bit if I suddenly just shaved it off. But so maybe that's where the topic comes from, but let's talk about it. Top 5 prog artists that have beards. My number 5, more of a newer, maybe more obscure prog artist, but I think he has a pretty epic beard, is Crescenzo from The Deer Hunter. Just has a really full, cool, thick beard that I really think personifies him really well. I can appreciate it. He probably has a style beard similar to mine, and I just think he rocks it really well and is just an incredible musician. You know, I want to talk about him, and just I love the latest Deer Hunter record. He's just a massively creative individual. One of my favorite modern day musicians. I think he's massively underrated, and I wish more people knew about his music. He just really does an excellent job melding different styles and bringing it into a unique style of his own. And so just definitely go out and check the Deer Hunter. You know, silly topic aside, you know, it's definitely a group worth checking. And, you know, maybe part of what gives him his superpowers in his group is his great beard and how it contributes to the band's sound. Who knows? At number 4, I struggled at this topic, so once again, maybe a little bit of a silly one, similar to last week's when I talked about prog band names. Derek Shulman from Gentle Giant is my number 4. Looking at old photos of prog bands and trying to point out who had cool beards. I really like Gentle Giant and the beard content in the band. I feel like his brother, I believe it's Ray Shulman, didn't really often have a beard, or maybe never did. I don't know. In most of the pictures I saw, he wasn't having a beard, but a lot of the other members definitely do have beards. And I think Derek Shulman stands out as the front man who has just a very thick, cool beard. And he just has such a presence. And I've seen a lot of live video from them on YouTube and so forth. And they just are so cool live. And I think it's a really cool group to check out. I really love Gentle Giant. So anytime I can spotlight them or highlight them and put them in a list here, I'm going to take that chance. So there you go. Derek Shulman, just an incredible front man and incredible facial hair for him. Number 3, iconic, right? You have to put Frank Zappa on a list like this. And what's interesting, I thought of Frank Zappa very early, but his beard, you know, is it a beard? You know, he definitely has facial hair. It has kind of an iconic mustache and maybe more of a soul patch style. But I think it counts as like a little small beard, you know, but his facial hair style is pretty iconic, something that a lot of men, I think, have copied, and, you know, he just has a very singular look that really defines him. So I think being on a list like this makes a lot of sense for someone like Frank Zappa, who just has such a singular personality. and is such an iconic musician in music in general, not just prog. You know, you could argue, is he really prog? I think what's proggy about Frank Zappa is just the fact that there are no boundaries to his music. He's willing to go off into many different directions and do a lot of different things with his style. So I think he embraces the true progressive spirit of always pushing the boundaries forward and doing things differently than what his contemporaries would do, and having this genius persona of trying to push and do things differently. So, and, you know, maybe he even did that with his facial hair, with his small soul patch style beard and mustache. You know, an iconic look for an iconic musician. Number 2, I've put Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull on the list. And I'm talking more about his older 70s style look. I feel like nowadays he doesn't have as much of a bushy, prominent beard, but I think back in the day, seeing older pictures of him, like kind of a manic pictures of him playing the flute and stuff on stage and whatnot, seems like he always has pretty wild hair and really thick facial hair and beard. So I thought that was a picture that came to mind when I was thinking of big prog artists that have iconic beards and facial hair. It was Ian Anderson and just his kind of wildness, wild kind of almost mountain man sort of sensibility that I think fits his persona and really adds to the style of the band. Just a really quirky, cool individual and really fun band that he's been the lead member of for so long. So definitely wanted to sneak him onto this list. But number 1 for me, if you know me and you know my leanings towards modern prog and all of that stuff, I had to go with Mike Portnoy at number 1. I think he has the most iconic modern day prog beard, you know. In fact, I think he colors it in different ways. He has this kind of blue coloring to it often. And so he's just really iconic for his beard, and I feel like he really always has great facial hair and really rocks it, and it's part of his persona and how he comes across as an artist. And Mike Portnoy, of course, is just an iconic artist for me because of all the bands he's been a part of that are all of my favorite groups. He's played in so many projects with Neil Morse, obviously, and was such a main part of Dream Theater, who I love as well. Just a madman on stage and plays the drums so energetically, and is just such a personality and presence, and I think his look is part of it. You know, it really is an iconic look for the modern day prog crowd. So really fun topic. That's my number 1 choice. I think he's an incredible champion for modern progressive rock, so I feel very good about putting him at the top of the list here. So thank you guys for joining me. Sorry if this was a little bit wacky and different, but maybe it'll spark some interesting conversation below. Maybe you have some iconic bearded members of prog bands that I haven't been thinking about. It was a little bit hard for me to stretch and come up with 5, but I think it's a pretty solid list all in all. So thank you guys so much for your support. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys hopefully in another top 5 coming out next week. So thank you guys so much, and just enjoy the music. Bye.